Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to a much sunnier Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve in Canada than what we saw in Formula One on Saturday. It is sunshine and the green light is on at the pit lane. We're here for Formula Sprint 2, the first round again of the GPVWC career ladder in this little cycle of the round 8. Bang on halfway through the season. I'm Tom Dillon. Alongside me, as always, is Jan Granqvist. And Jan, as we approach the halfway stage in this season, it is Luke Mitchell with a very comfortable lead at the top of the championship, but there's still a lot to play for.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here once again to commentate on FS2. And yeah, especially Luke Mitchell will be feeling good with the championship run that he's had of recent. So we'll look forward to see what he can bring into the table this round.
We will indeed, and 15 minutes of qualifying is, we're 45 seconds into it, 14 minutes and 10 seconds to go of this first, this only qualifying session. And 4.361 kilometres this circuit is 18 laps apiece for our two races today, which is about yielding about half an hour or so over the course of it. We're looking at one of the optimal cars at the moment, as hopefully we can get the information off of our screens. We can go down onto the circuit. There we go, and see how he's going on his first outlap of the day. 13 minutes then you can see to go in the session. Maxime Bilou, this car is out to start his first flying lap of the day. And Jan, I love this circuit, I really do. It's one of those classic Formula One venues, and absolutely loving it.
Yeah, it's a bit more of a tight and technical track than what we've had as of recent. Barcelona certainly being one of the more aero-heavy tracks with a lot of sweeping, long, fast corners. But here, this time around, we get to see a lot of quick chicanes with very snappy left and right movements on the wheel, and it's definitely a different kind of challenge. And we'll also be seeing a lot of people obviously being wary of the Wall of Champions, where we can see, or we can expect to see, quite a few incidents. I'd imagine it is a very tricky corner on these cars.
It is, and Bilou, unsurprisingly, is purple in the first sector as the first person to set a lap, but he's not as fast as Seba Panasenko. He's gone faster even than Luke Mitchell in the first sector. Purple in the second sector as well. Here he is then, Seba Panasenko, on the lap of his life at the moment, faster than pretty much everyone in this session. Luke Mitchell tops the practice session. Panasenko was in second. Florian Haas has set the benchmark with 126.6, which Panasenko still on to beat at the moment. Through past the Wall of Champions and into the final chicane, crossing the line. Seva Panasenko, what can he do? Can he go to provisional pole position? It looks like he can with
Ooh, I can tell you that is one heck of a lap time. That is absolutely insane. I'm already saying it. That could potentially be pole.
And he is 0.4 of a second ahead of Luke Mitchell. Seva Panasenko has pulled out some pace over the last 2 weeks and has found a superb lap.
You know, I'll tell you, I've been practicing these cars quite a bit, quite thoroughly now over the past few weeks, and coaching a few of my fellow drivers here and there. But yeah, with that, I've also been able to see sort of and gauge what the pace would be like for today. And let me tell you, I was not expecting anyone to get underneath the 26 barrier that quickly. In the practice server, we saw a lot of people, up to 7 or 8 people, all in the same lap time, the 25.9, which seemed to be the magic lap time. But Seva Panasenko is already 0.3 underneath that, and that is just incredible.
It is, and was Seva Panasenko one of the Jan Granqvist apprentices? Is that why he's so fast?
Well, no, actually, this is absolutely all to his own credit. That is why I'm so surprised as well.
And well, here's Luke Mitchell through the final corner, seeing what he can do. He's about into the Wall of Champions. Isn't that fitting? Loses his in fact, he loses his rear wing.
Oh.
That is, has he a front wing? I was going to say,
he repaired his rear wing all of a sudden, yeah.
Sorry, I was on a 24-hour at the weekend, so force of habit there with the rear wings being lost. Is Mateusz Piszka in the reading game car, 14th at the moment after his first banker. We'll go through the final chicane now, and we'll see what he can do again, running so much that curb, far more than I personally feel comfortable running, to be honest with you, as Mateusz crosses the line and goes into 15th, stays 15th actually, and well, it'll go for a couple of laps back to back here. Now Scott Mitchell-Mott was at the front really at the start of last season, and then this season hasn't really quite got back to those sort of heights, and would really be looking for a good run here. Though he did win his first round back actually, Scott Mitchell-Mott. That was in Saudi Arabia, his second round back that is. He's going through the final sector now.
He got really unlucky last time round in Barcelona for sure, so we know that he's got pace in him, but he's yet to really get that luck on his side.
And through comes Scott Mitchell-Mott into that final corner now. He's not particularly fast in comparison to Seba Panasenko, though not many people are on this lap. It will be an improvement, you would assume. Crosses the line 26.0 across the line. That is a fantastic lap from Scott Mitchell-Mott when he jumps himself up into 4th position.
Yeah, but still, the only person to have broken into the 25s still is Seba Panasenko. Everyone else, including Luke Mitchell, is still on the 26.0. So scrap everything what I thought about this, because I was thinking this was going to be a extremely tight qualifying, but no, Seba really is showing us that he is the one to beat today.
And 3 attempts in a reasonably skilled sim racing league is actually quite a lot more than it would be in the real world. I mean, if I'm 3 attempts off a pole position in a kart race, I'm quite happy with myself. I think that's a decent run there. Usually yields about 3rd or 4th, in a sim race. That's quite a decent margin. In comes Magnus Ockenhaupt then. We'll see what he can do as he goes up to the line. This is looking decent as well. 26.1 across the line. He jumps all the way up to 6th.
Oh, not bad, but look at that. It's really getting tight and crowded there in the top 10. Everyone seems to be liking that 26.1, 26.0 lap time here. And yeah, it's all within a 10th, basically, with the top 10 drivers.
Decent pace from Bilu for his first lap into 10th position, but better pace at the moment for his second. Only 900th of a second off of pole position in that sector 2. Seeing what he's capable of into the final corner, which I've heard some people call the Wall of Champions chicane, which I'm not sure is totally fair. It's the final corner and he hits the Wall of Champions as well. That'll lose him a little bit of lap time. How much, I'm not too sure. Crosses the line, 26.3. He goes and stays in 10th.
Yeah, you do lose quite a bit of momentum if you go too close and touch a bit of that wall, so definitely didn't help his lap time there. See Dan Hutt completing his lap time. Green so far. What will it be from P16? He improves to P8. Very good lap time. It's 1:26.2 as Carlos Santana has made it up into P2 now.
Not heard that name before, I have to concede, in this championship. I would assume he's a debutant then, definitely debutant this season. Haven't heard his name kicking around GPVWC before, so happy to have him. And a pretty decent debut as well into 2nd position at the moment. This is Roy Seifert, probably the best championship challenger for Luke Mitchell at the moment, though still 107 points off, and he's a little bit awkward through that hairpin of turn 10. Now I'll go down into what is apparently called, according to my track map, Jan, the Casino Straight, which I have to say, I don't think I've ever heard anyone refer to it as such before.
Yeah, I don't really hear a lot of names being thrown around the Montreal circuit, but yeah, that is absolutely the Casino Straight.
And, well, Roy Seifert navigates the final chicane of 12 and 13, crosses the line 25.9 into the 29s. Wow. And into 2nd position, but still, Seba Panasenko, his banker lap is enough to hold pole with 6 minutes to go.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not really surprised. But yeah, that is a good effort from Roy Seifert. Puts himself into the 25s and clear of the rest of the field so far. But yeah, Carlos Santana, I've heard that name once before. He briefly appeared in the GPVWC Academy and seemed like a super strong contender. But that's all that I know of him as well.
Strong contender here, that's for sure. This is David Jontu sliding his way through the final corner. That's not particularly fast in these cars, it has to be said, and as he goes up now down the casino straight, which I'm not going to use. I have to say that'll be the last time you hear a peep out of me about that. It's up into the final chicane.
Let's call it the back straight, I guess.
Yeah, the back straight. He goes into the pits, actually, and I wonder if we're going to see any awkward pit entries there. That's, actually, I was on a broadcast the other day, and someone asked me what is your, top 3 most dangerous pit exits in, well, your sort of general racing calendar. I'm not thinking about top 3 most dangerous pit entries, and that's one of them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's well, one of the first things is if you're in a train, you might not actually want to take the pit entry, even if you're thinking about a undercut on your rivals, because you're losing a lot of time there, because the cars ahead of you will essentially be braking and slowing you down as well, while your braking zone is only still probably 50 meters ahead of that. So it is its own kind of challenge. I don't think any other track really has this kind of a pit entry.
No, as Luke Mitchell is purple in the second sector, but quite sizably off in the first. He'll chuck it through 12 and 13 now onto the curb as well, trying to beat Seba Panasenko's 25.6 benchmark. Luke Mitchell crossing the line and is not able to go first, but he's getting closer, 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, 125.7, that is a very good lap time already by my books. So definitely a few drivers here already surprising me with just how fast the pace is today.
Track definitely having rubbered up after that practice session, you would assume. They do always say that no matter what you do in practice, you'll likely be about 5/7 faster in qualifying. I'm not sure how true it is of these drivers, but certainly you can spring yourself a little bit of a surprise as Tuamala is looking to do here. Going down the back straight now, 7th position at the moment, and a couple of attempts for the cars ahead, but he is quite sizably off of the lead in the first sector and in the second sector as well. So I don't suppose this will be a superb lap from him, running it really close to the line there on driver's left. Comes through the final corner now and should not improve, but we'll wait and see if he proves us wrong. Crosses the line, it isn't an improvement, it's a 26.7, so he stays in 7th.
Yeah, one of the other interesting things that I just thought about is that every single team will be running completely different wing setups, as of what I've seen. The potential, as we see Luke Mitchell hit the wall of champions, and he was on an improvement then, potentially on for pole, but I doubt that one's gonna put him up there. Although it is an improvement, he's 200ths now, only 200ths off of Panasenko.
He's lost that in the wall of champions as well. He's almost doing it on purpose. Not that I would accuse Luke of such a thing, but just to drill it in, almost like a little bit of gamesmanship to his rivals. I'm going to be the champion this year. I'm going to hit that wall as much as I can. But Florian Hasse, down in 20th at the moment, is on a lap. Ruben says he lost the pole by the wall of champions. Yeah, exactly. We'll see if he can get that back. Or if indeed Panasenko, who's still in the pits, is going to come out himself. I think Panasenko might have signed himself to the fact that, you know what, that's such a good lap. I'm just going to see how it goes. Florian Hasse, green in the first 2 sectors. We'll try and go green again in the third. 20th at the moment, as I just mentioned. Tries to send one through the 12-13 chicane. Again, that entry curb into the, or apex curb into 13 is really, really scaring me. Crosses the line, will improve, goes up to 18th.
Yeah, you have to try and hop the 2 sausage curves in the chicane.
Hello. One of my drivers, purple in sector 1.
Oh my, that's Dan Hayek in P13. He's purple in the first sector, so we'll be able to see now in the middle sector how much he'll be off. He's not actually that far off. He's a bit wide, drifty through the hairpin, so he'll have lost definitely a couple of attempts there, but it's going to be an improvement, at least hopefully. So we're waiting to see just how he'll be able to complete his lap. He's down in P14. We could expect him to jump quite a few positions if this lap manages to get salvaged, even from that hairy moment in the hairpin.
What can you do? Dan Hayek crosses the line and goes 9th. So it's not quite losing a lot of time in that third sector, not quite the heroics he would have expected, and that's his qualifying over as well. He's into the pits. Panasenko's into the pits. He thinks it's enough. Luke Mitchell is into the pits. He's not going to challenge. Roy Seifert has got 30 seconds to get over the line to try and do another lap. This one won't particularly stick. He's yellow in the first 2 sectors, so that is probably Roy Seifert's chance of pole position gone, unless he can do something here on this final lap. Looks pretty decent into turn 1. That being said, he's onto the grass ever so slightly. Seeing who else is on a lap. Scott Mitchell-Marm is about to start while he's yet to cross the timing beam. Tuamala has jumped up to 5th. Luke Cathylin has jumped up into 4th, I should say. Opposite lock for Roy Seifert all the way through that complex, though. Jan, 26.6, is it enough? 25.6, is it enough? And Roy Seifert's called it a day.
You know, it's hard to say, but Luke Mitchell is no longer on a lap, is he? So I don't think there are too many contenders here, to be honest. Scott Mitchell-Marm has now also gone back into the pit, so Tuomela actually jumps into P5, but yeah, I don't think anyone is going to challenge that. Panasenko, I think, has got pole position today on his first attempt.
We'll wait and see. One attempt is enough for Panasenko, potentially. Really, the only person on a lap that was close enough was Mateusz Pishkan at the moment, and even he is 0.3 of a second off in Sector 2. We'll see what it's capable of doing into the final chicane. Jumps all over the curb and hits the wall very, very hard. He won't complete the lap. Car completely fried. 17th position for Mateusz Pishkan, which should, with Raboli failing to improve, put Seifer Panasenko onto a very, very shock pole position.
Yeah, very, very well done to Seifer Panasenko. To set that on his first lap, he really showed some dominance today at the beginning of the session. Although it did get close with Luke Mitchell at the end, but Luke Mitchell wasn't quite able to pull that lap together.
Absolutely, and well, that should do it for our qualifying session here. I think Victor Cabello is the only person on a lap at the moment. Tom Parker is improved to go 11th, and then we'll be able to get your results for you. A fascinating qualifying session and all the makings of a pretty classic event.
Yeah, I agree with that one. So, yeah, here we have the qualifying results for you. Seifer Panasenko taking pole position today, with Luke Mitchell in P2 and Scott Mitchell-Marm running up the top 3. Lucas Thailand in P4, Noah Tuomela P5, Roy Seifert P6, Mikael Tuomala in P7, Carlos Santana in P8, with Massimiliano Riboli in P9 and Brody Lawless rounding off the top 10. Tom Parker makes it into 11th with Magnus Ockenhog in P12, Maxime Beaulieu in P13 with Florian Hauser in P14, Dan Hayek in P15, Dan Hutt in P16 with Oliver Taras in P17, Lee Hartley in P18, Jack Nichols in P19, Bobby Vakinov in 20th. In 21st, we have Mateusz Pishkan in 22nd, Johan Dix. I'll just read out the positions actually how they are. Sorry, so David Junt in P21, Victor Cabello in P22, Scott Morris P23, Luca Titano P24, Davide Zanini in P25, Craig Patson in P26, Dominic Schlabon P27, Justin van der Smith in P28.
And, well, with Brandon Robert joining as well into P29, we'll be back in 10 minutes for your first race here from GPVWC FS2. Welcome back, everybody, to the circuit, Gilles Villeneuve in Canada. We are here for the first of our 2 races of the evening in the Formula Sprint 2 Championship. You're looking at Mateusz Pishkan going through the final corner for the final time in the warm-up session, which will soon be making way for the race. In fact, before Mateusz could even finish his lap, it was blistering, I am sure, but 18 laps of the 4.361 kilometre circuit coming up. That is going to be about a half an hour race. I'm Tom Dillon. Alongside me, as always, is Jan Granqvist. Jan, decent qualifying. In fact, it's very interesting qualifying. But now I know you probably will want to talk quite at length about the difference in setups here.
Oh yeah, we already went through it a little bit during our little break here, but yeah, there's going to be a huge amount of wing disparity here because both strategies are completely viable, as in having high top speed versus low top speed, but better cornering speed. So it's going to be one of those races where it's really just going to be a tough one on those now in the race. We've got higher wings because they just won't be able to get past on the straights unless they really get close and then send one down the inside just aggressively. So, you know, it's yeah, it's going to be a tough one for some people, I'm sure. But here we go now. They're about to go on their warm-up, their formation lap, and I can take you through the grid as always. So here we have Seva Panasenko, who qualified on pole, with Luke Mitchell in the front row as well. Scott Mitchell-Mom in P3 and Lucas Thulin in P4. Noah Tuomala in P5, Roy Seifert in P6, Mikael Tuomala 7th with Carlos Santana in P8. Massimiliano Riboli in P9 with Tom Parker in P10, Magnus Ockenhog in P11 with Maxime Berlu in P12. Florian Haas in P13, Dan Hayek P14, Dan Hutt in 15th with Oliver Taras in P16. Louis Hartley in P17, Bobby Vakinoff in P18, Mateusz Pishchan in P19 with Brody Lawless in P20th. Bjorn Dix in 21st with David Yunt in P22, Victor Cabello in P23 with Scott Morris in P24. Luca Tizano in P25, Davide Zanini in P26, Craig Patterson in P27 with Jack Nichols in 28th. And rounding off the grid are Dominic Schlabon, Justin van der Smissen and Brandon Robert, who is in 31st.
And, well, very short formation lap here, Jan. So I'll ask you very quickly, Panasenko going to hold it?
You know, it's going to be a tough one, but I sure hope so.
Well, clearly very impartial indeed, Jan Granqvist. But we watch the grid stream through that 12-13 chicane now for the final time before they take it in full anger on the next lap. 18 laps of this circuit ahead of us, and I have to say the camera angles have been fantastic here. They're all racing close in and wonderfully focused. But your last car on the grid making its way to the grid now, and we can get ready to see the lights. First of 2 times this will happen today. Keep an eye on the light to the left hand side of picture if you can at all see them. It's quite difficult, and here we go then, waiting for the lights. And it's lights out and away we go in Canada. It's a great start for Seva Panasenko, who we know is down on straight line speed. Scott Mitchell-Mom looks to pull alongside his teammate. His brother down into turn 1, can't quite do so. There's a dive bomb further back, but no one able to make up a position. Scott Mitchell-Mom actually falls away a little bit in the second phase of that turn 2 corner. One of the red Ven cars looking to make up a position on Mikael Tuomala as they go through into turn 3 and 4. I should say, and not quite able to make that move. I think that's Roy Seifert right there. There is Massimiliano Riboli trying to make a move. He makes contact with the Hutt Performance Engineering car just ahead of him. And, well, Jan Granqvist, a pretty clean but quite frantic first few corners.
Yeah, definitely. It was Magnus Ockenhog that Massey hit there at the rear. I think Magnus and Massey were swapping positions there from all the way from turn 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 5. So there's a lot of racing happening at the moment, and you can see there's some movement at the background, some people going off into the grass to the side of the road there. Now here's our big send moment, or big send opportunity in this race, the hairpin, which you can then set up for the straight. And here we'll just see the massive differences in driver setups, as some will be riding on very high wings while the rest will be on low.
And Luke Mitchell not quite able to find his way past Seva Panasenko just yet. Of course, park firmware conditions do not apply in Formula Sprint 2. There's no way to enforce them in R-Factor 2 to my knowledge anyway, and that means that the drivers who perhaps had a fast qualifying set with a little bit more wing can take that wing off for this race to give them that kick down the straights when perhaps they need it to defend from someone over just simply having the raw pace. Watch Luke Mitchell when DRS gets enabled on the next lap. He could and probably should fly past the sandwich of academy cars of Bobby Vakanov, who right now is under a little bit of pressure. Onto the grass goes the 101 academy car, trying to see who that is. I think it's Lawless as he goes down the inside, tries to make a pass, and in the end they make a bit of contact, nudging his way through. Lawless still around the outside, almost losing the car, and Bobby Vakanov just about holds on to the position. It's not over just yet though. The Reading Game car behind, looking to get involved as well as he's weaving and diving his way through. Bobby Vakanov is able to hold on to the position, following him through in the background as Lawless goes all the way off of the circuit. Is Hartley, I think. Lawless surely has to concede that position to Hartley.
Yeah, he might as well do it right now, as he does, very wisely so. But look at that, there's a pack of 5 cars just waiting to send it down the inside of one of them. But yeah, again, Brody Lawless, who was one of the drivers who rose up the grid very quickly. Oh, in Barcelona, as we see Luke Mitchell already going for the move on Panasenko, but does it very haphazardly through the chicane, but manages to keep it for now. But here we see the difference in top speed. Seva Panasenko in the slipstream of Luke Mitchell is not able to pull alongside of him at all on the second part of the straight. So there you see it now. It's going to be a tough race for Panasenko if he can't make the moves through there. But here there's two wide moments going into turn 2 with, I believe that is actually no, that's one of the red Ven cars of Roy Seifert, I think. I'm sorry, I can't even keep up. I think that's Zach Nichols. Yeah, that's Zach Nichols and Florian Hasse, who just about thinks about ascend, but wisely backs off of it for now. But we're about to see DRS opening, as we see on the screen right now, and I don't think this straight is quite enough for making a move quite yet. But now the top 3 are going to be close up, and just after this hairpin we'll now see just how these positions change. And I believe that's Scott Mitchell-Mom who's already made the move on Panasenko as well.
10 kph between himself and Mitchell in the qualifying session. There's 3 wide at the back as Turo Marlow is trying to attack, well, in fact Seifert's trying to attack Ockenhaug, and it's all getting a bit messy down there. Into the final chicane they go. Seifert to look around the outside of Santana as well now, if at all possible, but he's not quite into the champions they go. And I think it's ended quite poorly. Still 3 wide, maybe 4 wide at the back. An incredible race so far at Calendar. Raboni getting involved too. So is Turamala, who goes down the inside of Roy Seifert. Gets that position. It's a double overtake for Rafael Turamala into 7th position, but it's not quite over yet as Roy Seifert gets back into 7th position himself as we go up into turn 3 and into turn 4. It's Seifert on the outside. Turamala's going to make contact with the car just behind him. That's Santana who falls all the way down into 11th position. Turamala's teammate of Parker is alongside him as well. There's Massimiliano Raboni trying to make his way through the traffic into 9th position. He goes ahead of Tom Parker, and goodness me, I do not know what's going on here. As it's
almost 3 wide.
3 wide to get it. Still 3 wide. Raboni on the inside line. Santana looks to the outside. And wow,
that is quite a hectic sequence of events happening on lap 4, the first lap with DRS fully open, and there you can just see it, how much pace difference there are between the drivers as they reach the straights, especially with DRS. So yeah, we're seeing it now, and Was it Magnus Ockenhog who hit the Wall of Champions, or was it Noah Domerla? I believe it was one of the purple-looking cars, but I can't remember which one.
And, well, there might be a round 2 here as we're having a look at Seifert and Ockenhaug. As Ockenhaug in the Hook Performance Engineering car looks to go down the inside, but he's not quite got the legs to do so there. Kicking up grass to one of the cars in the background as they go through the Wall of Champions. This is Jorn Dix trying to make up a move down into turn 1, but there's no doing for him just yet. A little bit of a mistake, though, perhaps from Florian Hasse, and Jorn Dix thinks about a move. This time we're looking at Luca Thielin on Seba Panasenko. Is this? That's
Noah
right. No, it's Noah Tuomela on. Yes, there you go. That graphic looked wrong for a moment, but it wasn't. I was just reading it wrong. We'll see what Thielin can do then with the DRS as they go down into that turn 8 and 9 before they get into the hairpin, which in itself is a little bit of an overtaking opportunity. Second DRS zone, DRS detection zone coming up, then the DRS zone as they go down the straight, breaking down into that hairpin now. Thielin probably prioritising exit here, if at all possible. Here he goes, foot to the floor, then real chance to see who has got the better straight line speed, and already he's hounding Noah Tuomela, who weaves away to try and hold on to this podium position, but without the DRS it's going to be very difficult indeed to try and hold on to this one. But I think for the time being he's just about done it. Yeah,
I think so as well. But looking up a bit forwards, very often people focus on the downsides of having very high wing, but look at Seba Panasenko being comfortably able to keep up with the top top 2, and the rest of the pack sort of falling off of them. So in a way, Seba has played this very well with this wing setup.
He is, and we'll see Maxime Bilou here trying to get up into 10th position, but not before Massimiliano Raboni tried to take it off of him as well. Up into 3 and 4 they go, and this is an incredible race so far. Already lap 6 of 18. These guys absolutely all over each other. Raboni looking to the inside, can't find that position on that occasion and has to wait, but it's a train of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 cars, 8 cars. Is now a move
this looks mad from this camera.
It's like a snake, and there's contact as well, and Parker goes straight into the wall and have a little bit of damage from that, I would suspect, and it should allow Raboni to maybe have a look at Bilou as they go down into the hairpin. He's practically alongside. Will he go for the dive? He won't. He almost goes into the back of Bilou.
Yeah, there's so much movement in this train. The driver's seemingly not quite sure whether to send one down the inside bravely or not. But obviously, if you're the car behind a train of, say, 7, 8 cars, you don't want to be the first one sending it and then creating the bowling ball effect of creating a huge crash involving everyone in it. So the drivers behind are going to have to play this safe for their sake.
So, well, Parker holds on to it for the time being. Mitchell leads a Mitchell 1-2, a Mitchell household 1-2. They don't share the same surname anymore since Scott, I can only assume, got married and changed it to a double-barreled name. So 1-2 at the moment. And I suppose they'll be very happy with that. Very close to each other as well, 5/10 of a second. I did say Scott Mitchell hadn't got quite to the heights of previous season, but he's clearly back up there this weekend. This is a battle now that we were just watching. It's Louis Hartley trying to hold off plenty of cars behind him. He's got Taras just ahead of him as well. GPVWC Academy cars galore, and Hartley just about holding on to 11th position, 14th position for the time being, and narrowly staying in reverse grid contention. That should be Jack Nichols behind him as well, trying to get involved wherever he can. Down into the chicane they go, and it might just be down around the outside for Lawless, is it? It's not. He's not quite able to make the position, but further back, one of the red cars going for it. He does. He sends it down the inside and gets the position as well. He'll get the DRS as well down the straight. Jack Nichols is getting involved. It's side by side, further back between Jorn Dix and the guy he's alongside. Jack Nichols goes late into the chicane. He goes very late indeed. Can he get the position? He can. Fantastic move from Jack Nichols.
Yeah, it's just we're gonna have to see whether he can keep the momentum into the second straight, but looks like he got a decent line through it, and Brody Lawless just can't help but sit behind for now.
Still they squabble on. It's very, very close between all of them, and it must be difficult to run in a pack as well. We're only halfway through this race at the moment, which, to be honest with you, is quite an incredible prospect. So that is a very big crash. Further behind, that's Tom Parker getting it all wrong into the wall, getting it wrong and some more. Now down the inside goes Tom Parker. So who had crashed? Oh no, it was Tom Parker. He's lost his front wing and he still tried to attack.
Yeah, I think he might have just misjudged the braking distance there. Obviously, with far less downforce, he would have locked up his wheel there. I don't think he meant to go for a move, and yeah, as you can see, making it very difficult to drive that car around this track.
And, well, as we press on in this contest, we're now having a look at Louis Hartley trying to go around the outside of Taras. He's not quite able to do so just yet, but he'll have the DRS as Panasenko got overtaken for a moment by Luca Thylin, but is back ahead now. Here is that battle then for third position. Panasenko is still ahead, but Thylin is not done just yet. Here he goes down the inside into turn one, that top speed advantage he has over Panasenko working wonders, but he's making contact as they go through into turn two, and Panasenko holds it on, defending his first pole position into a podium for his life. It's onto the braking zone for turn 3, 4 out of that, and now Panasenko holding on. Now Thylin under pressure from Seifert behind. It's actually, you're looking at Tuomela making the move on Panasenko. My apologies.
Well, what a battle we're about to witness. I think the two of Roy Seifert and Åkerhag are about to join this one as well. It's very much going to be a high pressure environment for Seba Panasenko. He'll just have to bite his tongue and keep trying to pull those laps together while he can on the more technical sections of this track, because he knows he's very vulnerable on the straights, especially with the DRS of the cars behind.
And so close. Not much to pick between any of these drivers at the moment. Not even the two Mitchell brothers, who are 6 tenths of a second apart. Though we haven't really seen much of them. I think they're keen to formation fly at the moment. This is that move then. Tuomela on Panasenko, looks for the position, gets the position before the braking zone even begins for the final chicane. And that is a very, very standard move, textbook from him under the DRS. Though Panasenko will try and come back at him. Unable to do so. The DRS detection zone is very late into that chicane, or very early into that chicane, I should say, and that has given Tuomela the advantage. Åkerhag is behind. I wasn't just pulling his name out of thin air. He is trying to battle his way up into 6th, though it's quite difficult for him at the moment. This is Hartley looking at Riboli, who's looking to try and find himself into a top 10 position at the moment in the Alpha Sierra. In the Alpha Sierra Championship Challenge, it's been Luke Mitchell who has scored the vast majority of the points. So Riboli will be looking to, I'm not going to say pull his weight, because that would be very harsh on him. He's been very unlucky throughout the course of the season, but certainly try and supplement his teammates a little bit better than what he's been able to do in the first half of this season.
Yeah, as we see now, Seba is really able to keep it close to Noah in the more technical part of the track, but obviously now as we get to the straight, Seba will need that DRS and slipstream, everything, so that he'll be able to keep up on the straights, because he is losing some time on the with his top speed, obviously. But Noah Tuomela also been recently on a very good form, especially after not Canada. We're racing in Canada, but in Barcelona, as we see the Mitchells fighting for the lead. It is side by side, and Scott Mitchell Mom will take the lead going into turn 1. Breaks later than Luke Mitchell and manages to keep it. And yeah, well done for for Scott Mitchell, who's now eyeing out a race victory in race 1 for Canada.
Well, can't complain about it, can he? That was fantastic from Scott Mitchell, and no complaints on his side of the garage. His side of the garage would suggest they're teammates. They're not their brothers, but his side of the room, maybe. I appreciate they live apart now. Scott Mitchell rather Scott Mitchell. As here comes Luca Thylin then on Roy Seifert as he looks around the outside. He's not able to find that position just yet with the DRS. It's a difficult place to make a pass. in the end, he goes over the curb a little bit awkwardly. Perhaps gets away with it. There's Panasenko in the top of your picture trying to get his way past Turamella for that podium. Once again, it'd be such a disappointment for Panasenko if he's not able to get onto the podium after such a strong qualifying. And in fact, his qualifying couldn't have physically been any stronger, taking that pole position, of course. This would be Seva Panasenko's third podium of the year, and it wouldn't be quite as sweet after doing it from pole position. But certainly would be pretty sweet indeed.
He
He's all over the curb and into the
heavily.
wall of champions. Heavily jumps the curb, and that won't help his cause at all. Roy Seifert will have an all-you-can-eat buffet here on Seva Panasenko, despite not having the DRS down into turn 1. There you go. Roy Seifert, although Panasenko holds it out, Seifert jumps across the curb. There's contact between the two of them. Seifert still going here around the outside. No doing for him. Panasenko is being brave, but the podium slipping from his grasp.
Yeah, that was a big mistake, almost a very costly one for Panasenko, but luckily he's able to avoid the wall of champions. But now he has to avoid the pack of 3 cars behind him and try and create that gap before they reach, yet again, the DRS straight.
And, well, with just a few laps to go in this contest now, Roy Seifert is still looking to attack Seva Panasenko. Here he goes through the turn at 8 and 9 chicane. Not quite able to find a way through just yet. He's under pressure from Luca Thailand. We've got yellow flags in sector 1. That is interesting after a pretty clean race so far. And Jack Nichols is falling down the order to the point I think Jack Nichols is out of the race.
That might very well be true, but again, here we see Roy Seifert. He's going to get the DRS open on Seva Panasenko, and I think that is going to be it for Seva Panasenko's P4. He now drops into P5, and he's just going to have to hope he can stay behind Roy Seifert. And meanwhile, we see Magnus Ockenhog, who's made the move on Lucas Tulin, is now in P6 and has made some really good progress throughout the grid this race.
6th and 7th for Magnus Ockenhag and Luca Thailand. Luca Thailand looks for a bit of a switchback move as he goes through into turn 2. Here is a replay of, I expect, what happened to Jack Nichols. Here he is without a wing, and here is the incident then. He was around the outside and he just got tagged, and that was him round into the wall, and unsurprisingly, he is out of the race because of that. To be honest with you, I don't know if he has packed it up. It looks like he has, but I wouldn't blame him after that myself, particularly when you're not really fighting for anything in the championship. You don't really care much other than when you get a victory. Here's Louis Hartley getting himself into even more trouble, into the wall of champions. No. Double trouble. Safe rejoin, but frustrating.
Yeah, that's also a very scary moment once a crash happens there, because it's going to be very difficult to get out of the way of the faster cars coming through the chicane. But this time around, I think Lucas Tulin might be getting the move back on Magnus as they get over to the DRS straight, almost looking like they're bump drafting each other. But are we going to see a move here? He pulls over to the side, but Magnus defends in the middle of the straight and manages to keep Tulin behind him as now they approach the second part of the straight, and it looks like Magnus just has the top speed.
Top speed is one of the buzzwords around the circuit, Gilles Villeneuve, and well, Luke Mitchell finding himself under pressure. He's fallen behind, hasn't he? His brother by a second, and most glad commentary curse I've ever done, saying Scott Mitchell hasn't reached the heights of the previous season, because
Magnus Ockenhog has lost it. He has lost it, crashed into the barrier, and is dropping down the order.
Well, there you go then. That is really frustrating for him. Here's Noah Turamella, though. Can he get to the inside of Luke Mitchell as they go down into the 8 and 9 chicane? He can't. He is definitely, though, going to have a real look at him as he goes into perhaps the casino straight, which I said I wasn't going to use the term of, but it just sort of fit there. Here he goes then through the final hairpin. He goes, takes a much wider line than Luke Mitchell. They might have been forced into it. Luke 4/10 of a second advantage, which is already coming down as they go through down at the straight now. Lap 14 of 18. 4 laps to go at the line. Luke Mitchell under pressure from Noah Turamella, and he's going to be under a bit more than pressure. He's going to be under the nose of Noah Turamella as they go down into the chicane. He loses that position and loses out on not only the lead, but loses out on second. as well in the space of just a couple of laps. Is there a counter-attack though from Luke Mitchell? Looks like there isn't. Noah Tuamela now has a few laps to unleash himself against the lead.
You know, I'm very happy to see that, because guess who's one of the drivers that I was able to coach before this round?
Luke Mitchell?
Noah Tuamela, the man in P2. So yeah, I'm happy with that. He's definitely been on some great form, but look at that. That looks like a very strange crash from Magnus. I think there's a lot of lag involved there, maybe server side even. It's that. Did not really tell us the full story of what happened. Oh, there we can see what happened afterwards. Obviously, losing a rear wing, you won't really have that much rear end grip, and that's what happens. Spin around.
And well, as we see Scott Mitchell-Marm with a 1.1 second lead, looks pretty comfortable with 3 laps to go, approaching Luke Mitchell, pressurising Noah Tuamela, maybe doing his brother a favour here by battling with the car that's chasing down his brother. That KV86 powerhouse is looking fantastic at the moment in this race. Here goes Luke Mitchell with the DRS. He won't be having DRS for Tuamela on Mitchell-Marm. Luke Mitchell not having the straight line speed though. That powerhouse car is an absolute rocket ship at the moment though. Luke Mitchell so much better on the brakes. Through the chicane they go, and Mitchell again struggling with that sector 3. 8 tenths of a second between Mitchell-Marm and Tuamela. He is catching.
He absolutely is. This could be quite a fantastic few laps going towards the end. He is 3 laps time to catch up and pass Scott Mitchell-Marm for the race win, and I'm absolutely sure he's gunning for it.
This is a battle for 18th position, one of the minor positions. It's between Dan Hutt racing in a car that shares his name versus Justin van der Smissen racing for VMS Sun Edits Racing. Here goes Dan Hutt around the outside to the inside actually of Justin van der Smissen. Down the inside he goes, and that is surely the position. No, he overcooks it and will just fall out of it as well. That is frustrating. Now losing.
Door opens
another position to Craig Patterson. He will, and that is him up into 18th position. It will be Hutt trying to hold it around the outside. Hutt can't hold it around the outside and goes around and into the wall, lucky to not beach himself. Or has he beached himself?
No, I think he has.
He's still moving. He's okay. He'll get that back round, I'm sure.
That is a real shame for the Hutt performance.
The leaders. We need to look at the leaders as Tuamela goes down the inside because there's a battle between Mitchell-Marm and Noah Tuamela. Here he goes. Tuamela, the Finn around the outside for the lead of the race for his first win in the GPVWC career ladder. Gets past Scott Mitchell-Marm. His pace towards the middle part of this race and now towards the end has been nothing short of superb. And now he has just 2 laps to try and hold on to the lead of the race.
Absolutely amazing. I am so happy to see him do so well today. It's a pleasure. And now he's just got the pressure of the 2 Mitchells, who we know are incredibly fierce in this FS2 field. Can he keep those 2 behind him? That is the question for the next 2 laps.
Well, here goes Massi Raboli trying to attack for 10th position now, though he's switching the battle graphics, the car behind as well as Oliver Taras. This is the battle for 18th position again. Justin van der Smissen trying to get past Craig Patterson with still half an eye on that battle between Tuamela and Scott Mitchell-Marm. I can see producer is ready to jump onto it as soon as we get the opportunity. I think we might as well just stay with the leaders here for the final lap of the race. There's going to be 2 more opportunities for Scott Mitchell-Marm to get past this opportunity and then the next lap as well. Can he do it this time by Scott Mitchell-Marm on Noah Tuamela? It is a turn to the top for Scott Mitchell-Marm versus a rise to the top for Noah Tuamela. Here we go. DRS has been enabled. 6 tenths of a second of a gap as Luke Mitchell peers in the background. Should
Look
just
at that.
about
He's not
be
even
enough.
catching.
And he's not catching down the straight. Tuamela is, as I said before, a rocket ship, Jan Granqvist.
He absolutely is. He's not. Scott Mitchell is not catching in the straights, even with DRS open. In fact, he's coming more under threat from Luke Mitchell, who's behind him in his slipstream.
He is indeed. And how do you call this one? Is Luke Mitchell maybe going to get himself into the party?
I think Scott Mitchell is lucky to have the DRS of Noah Tuamela here. Otherwise, I think Luke Mitchell would definitely have the chance to go past him with the slipstream and DRS, seeing how close he was able to get to Scott Mitchell.
So up until this day, Tuamelo has only had two podiums in the GPVWC. One came earlier in the season, one came just about in the last round. This is a battle between Seifert and Panasenko as we look back to the lead of the race. Luke Mitchell will try and get one past his brother to surely have a chance at the lead, though it's 0.5 of a second. It is going to be mighty close. Noah Tuamelo, one more chicane to navigate, plus this straight. He's got a bit of back marker traffic as well. Just ahead of him.
Luke Mitchell is. He's right behind
his brother. Here he goes then. Both of them have got DRS. It's going to just straight run to the line between the Mitchell brothers for second position. Tuamelo can already start smiling because he's almost done it. Mitchell around the outside of Mitchell. Marvin. I think it's Mitchell. Marvin gets the better bit over the curve. Goes Luke Mitchell. But it's Noah Tuamelo who wins in Canada for the first time in the GPVWC. His second in the last race was not enough. He has to make it a first.
Absolutely incredible. I'm so happy for Noah there. Very well done for this P1. What a race from the the top three finishers. Scott Mitchell, Luke Mitchell, right until the end, going side by side through the chicane. What a finish.
Fantastic finish indeed, and well, as everyone else streams across the line to finish off this one, it's a difficult day for a few throughout the field. Obviously a pretty incredible race. This is Dan Hayek battling with Nichols for the minor positions. Nichols did get that car back going again. I thought I saw him disappear back to the pits, but he obviously was able to put it back into gear. He's now trying to make a move himself on Robert. There goes Nichols down the inside into the chicane. He does do so. Dan Hayek has to take the escape road as Robert goes all the way around. So Hayek gets 25th position in the end. I don't think that will be called an illegal overtake. He frankly had nowhere to go. Maybe my bias talking. There he goes. Into 26th goes Robert. And that should do it for this race.
Man, I'm still processing that that finish. To be honest, that was actually really fun to watch, man. Like the top three battles, Seba Panasenko in the first few laps. I'm surprised how good the racing's been, to be honest.
Racing has been superb. And well, we'll get you your results in a moment. We've got to do it all again though in the next one, which is even more fantastic. 18 laps, lapping around the 26s on average, those guys. So really fast stuff. Yep, the results.
So here we have the results of this race. Noah Tuamelo taking his first ever win in GPVWC with Scott Mitchell Mom in second and Luke Mitchell taking third this race, with Roy Seifert in P4, Seba Panasenko in P5, Lucas Tulin in P6, Carlos Santana in P7, Mikael Tuomala in P8, Maxime Burley in P9, Bobby Vakinov in P10. Björn Dix makes it into P11 with Massimiliano Riboli in P12, Oliver Taras in P13, Florian Hauser P14, David Junt in P15, with Louis Hartley in P16, Brody Lawless in P17, Craig Patterson in P18, Luca Tizzano in P19 with Dominic Slabon in 20th. In 21st, we have Davide Zanini in 22nd, Victor Cabello, Tom Parker in 23rd, Jack Nichols in P24, Dan Hayek in P25, Brandon Robert 26th, Dana Hutt in P27, Magnus Ockenhog in P28, Scott Morris P29, Justin van der Smissen in 30th. That is the grid.
And well, we're going to go to a quick break and we'll be back in about 5 minutes time for race 2. Oh dear me! My laugh came through on the stream. I apologise. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Evez 2. Producer just had a swear moment, which was quite funny. But anyway, we're back for race 2, and if it's anything as good as race 1, I'm sure it's going to be very entertaining indeed. I'm Tom Dillon. Alongside me once again is Jan Granqvist, and Jan, you got away with that hot mic moment there, but welcome along to the stream anyway.
Yeah, it's going to be again an interesting race, I hope, at least. But yeah, now we're going to have even more chaos with obviously reverse grid taking place. P11 has now been promoted to reverse grid pole, with Noah Tuomala going down into P11 after his race win today. See the cars gridding up in the background, getting ready for the formation lap.
And we'll get the grid for you as well in a few moments' time. After that, I appreciate both of us are out here trying to stall until the starting grid comes on, and we can talk us through that. But in terms of this race, your reverse grid position was 11th, which was Jon Dix on to pole, Bobby Vakanov in second. Real chance here for someone like Carlos Santana, or indeed Jon himself, to pick up a win, I think, yeah. Yeah,
I agree with that. And as we see now, Jon Dix taking pole position with Bobby Vakanov in second place, Maxime Beaulieu in third, and Mikael Tuomala starting in fourth. In P5, we have Carlos Santana in sixth, Lukas Tulin in P7, Seva Panasenko and Roy Seifert in P8. Luke Mitchell, our podium position man in P9, Scott Mitchell-Malm in P10 with Noah Tuomela P11 and Massimiliano Urboli in P12. In P13, Oliver Taras with Florian Hauser in P14, David Junt in P15 with Brody Lawless starting in 16th. Craig Patterson in P17 with Luca Tizzano in 18th, Dominic Schlabon in P19 with Davide Zanini in P20. In P21 we have Victor Cabello in 22nd, Tom Parker, Jack Nichols in P23 with Dan Hayek in P24. In 25th we have Brandon Robert with Dan Hutt in P26, Magnus Ockenhog in P27, Scott Morris in 28th. In 29th, Justin van der Smissen and Mateusz Piszczan rounding off the grid in P30.
And, grid rounding the hairpin now, which gives me a chance to ask Jan Granqvist, your Dix or Carlos Santana or someone else, maybe Luke Mitchell coming through the field?
No, it's difficult. I think at this point people will be able to change their setups as well, their approach to this race, so we really do not know what to expect, but I think Jørn Dix is in for a real chance here. He's shown some really good pace here and there and again, and he's now in reverse grid pole, so which gives him the greatest chance to achieve something today.
Well, he's not back to Finn, which is, I know he wasn't on my list of people who I was asking you who you were backing, but you haven't backed Noah Tuomela. That is fantastic. I'm also interested to track the progress of Mateusz Piszczan through the field, mainly because he's my driver, but also because he had a disconnect in the first race and is obviously struggled generally for pace. He wasn't able to practice much for this one. But anyway, here we go for the lights. Race 2 in Canada. It's a red vent on pole. And it's lights out and away we go in Canada for the second time this evening. It's a good start from Jørn Dix, but an even better start from Bobby Vakanov as they go down into turn 1. Bobby not quite able to draw alongside, and Jørn Dix holds the lead as they go now through into turn 2 and up into 3 and 4 chicane. There is Mitchell-Malm and Mitchell having a battle as they did at the end of that first race. Here goes Mitchell-Malm around the outside of his brother, not quite able to find the position though, and Scott Mitchell is having to stay content with where he is. Noah Tuomela is just behind, trying to do what he can in regard to making positive progress in this race. Relatively clean start as side-by-side action further behind as well. I think that might be Craig Patterson who's trying to get involved. Around the outside he goes, is able to pick up yet another position. DRS not enabled for 2 more laps, Jan Granqvist, but I don't think they needed it at this rate.
Definitely not. Look at that. A lot of movement yet again to go into the second sector of this track. And just drivers hoping that they don't hop over the curbs and write themselves off of this race quite yet, as it's still the first lap. But now we see as they bunch up into the hairpin that leads into our 2 main straights of this track, and we can expect to see a lot of action.
We absolutely can, and we see Davide Zanini. In fact, scrap that, we see Michael Tuomala going for second position. Can he maybe be a shock result that we didn't think about? As I see a car going off onto the gravel there, not the gravel, onto the runoff I should say. It was Luca Thailand, I think, or was it indeed Maxime Bielu? It might have been Maxime Bielu, who's now under pressure from Noah Tuomela as well. Is he? No, Mitchell-Malm, I don't know what happened there. He was close. Luke Mitchell gets through, then Scott Mitchell-Malm will try and get through. He's not able to do so as they go down into turn 3. Maxime Bielu loses yet another position to Noah Tuomela as they also converge into one. So it's Carlos Santana. It's incredible. There's so many cars. They're struggling to keep track of who's who.
Yeah, they're so nose to tail that you can't really tell what position they're in. Oh my god, and there's even more sense happening there, almost pushing drivers off onto the grass. I think that's Carlos Santana who almost was a victim in that, but manages to get through safe and sound for now. But as we approach the next section of corners, you don't know who's safe.
Carlos Santana here is in 8th at the moment, looking for 7th. He's not quite able to find a way through on Luke Mitchell just yet, though Luke Mitchell is one of the hardest drivers to pass on this entire grid. And to be honest with you, I thought Carlos Santana's pace was as such that he might have found his way to winning this race, but it's not quite happened for him in the first 2 laps or so. Lap 2 of 18 will be 3 when they cross the line. Your Dix is dropping slightly Michael to Amala. 1 second the gap between the two of them. There is the gap visually between your top 3 and the rest of the field. Seva Panasenko looking to go into 4th position, using that pole position pace that he had to try and get himself up the order and maybe that hard-earned podium that he is after so dearly. Thailand trying to come back at him, but Panasenko holding on to it for the time being.
Yeah, it's interesting to note, actually, the top 3 have dropped the rest of the grid. Actually, I think that is Panasenko who just got through Thulin, who will now be heading this pack, and I think they'll be starting or beginning to catch that slight gap that has formed. But yeah, again, a few drivers here and there who will be a bit of a blockage for some of the faster drivers in behind. But yeah, Luke Mitchell has actually done some really good progress as of the first 2 laps compared to his rivals who took podium in the first race in P10 and P11, Mitchell Mom and Duomela.
You see Luke Mitchell eyeing up a move on Roy Seifert as they go down into the turn 10 hairpin. Seifert defends perhaps more aggressively than he can, and Carlos Santana says thank you very much, I'm going to go around the outside, but Mitchell just holding on to it. Who gets the better exit? Santana is on the outside, Luke Mitchell on the inside. Battle of the straight line speed as they go down into the final chicane. DRS is enabled now as well as we're on to lap 3 as they're weaving all over the straight. Luke Mitchell's on the inside, will try and hold this out. He's now under pressure once again from Maxime Bilou, and Mitchell loses out on position.
Yeah, you know, some of the faster drivers might have really thrown themselves in the deep end with the setup and tried to just get away with the lowest possible wings, because they know that is one of the only ways they can progress through the field comfortably. So they'll just have to rely on their own driving skill through the corners and hope they can keep up on the straights.
And yellow in sector 1 for the time being. Dare I say, I saw Matthews Pishkan dropping down the order slightly for a moment. No, it's for Tristan van der Smitten, I think. He's gone into the pits. I think Pishkan just lost position. That's my classic pessimism there. From me. There's Dan Hayek apparently, I'm hearing in my ear. Potentially, we'll see if we can find a replay for you, but if not, then we'll just press on with this one. Here's Luca Thailand looking at him. They're not quite on board, but following him with our cameras as he's under pressure from Seva Panasenko once again. Bobby Vakanov occupies the final podium spot. How dearly both of these would like to try and challenge that one. Here's Scott Mitchell-Marm, second place in that previous race, not quite able to get past Tuamela, who himself isn't really showing the pace he did in the previous one. From glory to 10th place in the space of, well, you know, a race and a bit. That's just the nature of these reverse grids, I'm afraid to say, and Scott Mitchell-Marm will really fancy his chances here to get past the man who has got an absolute rocket ship of a car in a straight line, who himself is now trying to get himself past Maxime Bilou, does do so into the final chicane. Scott Mitchell-Marm is really trying to do what he can at the moment.
Yeah, good progress now from Noah Duomela, who's finally managed to get himself into the position behind Luke Mitchell. However, look at how close they are. Again, nose to tail. Bilou looking to maybe attack, but no. Scott Mitchell-Marm also... Oh, there's contact! He's pushed! He's pushed Bilou! And there's a whole heap of cars, I think, facing the wrong way. No, it's just, I think that might be Bilou who's still facing the wrong way. But yeah, very unfortunate incident happening there. I think Scott Mitchell wasn't quite expecting to get his nose that deep into in behind of Bilou, but as we see the situation once again through the replay, look at Scott Mitchell here, who actually, I think he even tried to make a dive there, but I don't really think that was on at all. Very uncharacteristic move from Scott Mitchell, I might say.
Took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say very rare misjudgment from Scott Mitchell, rare miscalculation. Here's Dan Hayek as he's been passed by his teammate. This is actually what happened to Dan Hayek as they went down into turn 1. As he got onto the grass, he has gone onto the curb and just overcooked the car and got round. He's done well to get it. That's a nice little drift. Yeah, there's a nice little drift there. I have to say, we did car control well. And for Finn, is going to praise your car control. You know your car control is pretty good. It's Tristan van der Smissen getting it all wrong. And he's making contact, and I think that was Pishkan actually who got involved as well. That's why I was just seeing him go down the order.
That wasn't ideal. We got the contact and really got the car to bounce back the other way, which caused that chaos. But luckily enough, there weren't too many cars behind, and nothing more to happen out of that. But here you see Carlos Santana in P6 at the moment, looking at the back of Seba Panasenko's car. I think might be running a bit lower wings after seeing just how much of a disparity there was in race 1. I would have very much expected Panasenko to be dropping like a stone at this point. But he's managing to keep himself still in that P5 position, not too bad.
And yeah, I mean, he'll be frustrated after that first race because it just didn't quite go to plan for him. His first pole position, and it was the first time he's lost pole position as well. He's down the inside and he's making contact. And Carlos Santana sneaks his way through, going back through the field into 4th position. Panasenko is going to be frustrated with that one, but he's still got a chance at Carlos Santana here, though. Santana with DRS after that detection zone. Can Panasenko use a little bit of straight line speed as they go down into the final corner? Looks like he can't. We're approaching half distance in this race. As Roy Seifert has managed to get past Tuomela, I should say. Tuomela after winning that first race, not quite at the lofty heights in this second, though. Here he goes, maybe down into turn 1. Can he get himself up into 5th position, 6th position, I should say? Yes, he can. That is a fantastic move.
Very calculated. See how close that was between the two of them. Not at all. I was just about to send it perfectly into turn 1, but here we see a replay of how Roy Seifert got past Tuomela. Oh my god, is that going to be a send? No. Oh, it's because of the incident that happened there between Tulin and who was it again? It was
we're looking at Luke Mitchell as he goes down. He just narrowly avoids. Oh no, he doesn't narrowly avoid. He gets hit, and well, that's frustrating from our championship leader. And to be honest with you, it won't be long before our championship leader becomes our championship elect, because Luke Mitchell has been fantastic this season. This is Brodie Lawless riding on board to really dissect this incident with him. You can see the spinners further ahead. Lawless actually went round all by himself.
Oh wow. Actually, yeah, it was Seba Panasenko, right, who was sending a very half-hearted move into that hairpin, tagged Tulin, and then that created a whole lot of chaos behind, which one of the cars that suffered there was Luke Mitchell. But look at that. That is
huge.
Okay, that is a huge crash in the Wall of Champions, and that was something that was actually, well, before the stream, sort of expecting that could happen, because that's a corner that you can't really escape from. Oh man.
4 or 5 people involved in that. That is not the biggest crash we've had in FS2 in our time commentating.
Tom Parker, apparently.
Pretty huge. Here's Scott Morris on board with him, around the outside into the chicane, gets over the curb, goes into the walls, it's back out across the racetrack. Someone else gets it wrong, and that is what's caused that, and then narrowly hit by the Reading Game car. And that is 4 or 5 people getting involved. We're on board with Massimiliano Riboli, giving us a different perspective on another incident. Is that Luke Mitchell? I think it is, and that's Massey round.
Oh.
So Luke spun David Jones apparently, and then Massey went round himself. So double-edged sword really, Luke Mitchell.
We might want to take a look at the lead battle right now. Mikael Dorma has caught up right to the back of Jörn Dix and is now with the DRS and slipstream.
Let's see then. Is there going to be a change for the lead? Tuomela gunning for victory in FS2. Here he goes. Jörn Dix will be the one to defend it. Not had the most fairy tale start to his Red Ven racing career, but certainly would be helped by a win here. DRS from Mikael Tuomela. Here he goes. Can he do it? Down into turn 1. Looks like he cannot. 10 laps remaining is the call.
Jörn Dix just seems to have a tiny bit more in his setup in terms of top speed, so it's going to be making it difficult for Tuomela to get past, but Tuomela certainly seems to be having the pace, so plenty of laps there for Tuomela to get something done.
Brodie Lawless is battling with Massi Riboli and indeed David John just behind, who's trying to recover from that incident he had with Luke Mitchell just a few moments ago. Brodie Lawless actually rather more under pressure from David Johnson than he is attacking Massi Raboli. So I think Johnson will almost treat this that Academy car as if it is indeed a bit of traffic for him to get around. Here he goes down into
no.
Make contact. They make contact.
Oh, he's done well, Brodie, is actually to keep the car sort of on the side there, to not re-enter and potentially punt off. I think that was Patson, right?
Yes.
So,
David Jones.
David Jones, right. Yeah, did a good bit of car control off of the track even there to reduce the amount of chaos that could have potentially spawned out of that.
Yes, and as we see Brodie Lawless go down into the hairpin, David Jones, to his credit, did let Brodie back through, which is very admirable of him to do. And we'll see if Brodie can get past here by David Jones. We'll have the DRS as they get to the DRS detection line, or the DRS opening line, and David Jones just fly past, and he does. Patience pays off, and sportsmanship in the end isn't going to cost him too dearly.
Yeah, but look at that. He's got a massive run, Brodie Lawless has, going into the straight, but sticks behind the slipstream. It looks like Brodie might not have the top speed in this car to complete that move. Oh, he slides. Oh no, he's gonna take David Yunt out with that one. Oh no, and that is absolutely terrible. That is not what you want to see from a driver in FS2.
Didn't help. Did he not hold the brakes there?
Very eyebrow-raising moment, but no, he definitely did not hold the brakes there. But yeah, in his defense, that's a very little amount of time to sort of react after you've made this sort of mistake.
It is, to be fair to him, and I don't think he even knew he was spat. To be fair, he didn't. I don't think by that time he'd known he'd been spat out onto the road, to be honest.
Yeah.
So frustrating, but it's so easy to forget to hold your brakes, particularly when you're mainly focused on making sure the car's okay. There's so much going through your head there that actually holding the brakes isn't as simple of a reaction as you would like to hope that it is. Not really.
Definitely.
Not saying it's not his fault, but a mistake he'll have to learn on. This is for a podium position. Bobby Vakinov, who's held it for the last 11 laps, is now going to get passed by Carlos Santana. I said he had a chance of the win for this race. Looks like now, after a little bit of a poor first stint, has got that chance.
You know, the KV86 is really looking like a powerhouse this round. Jesus, they're going to get a double podium if this keeps up. In terms of Noah Tuomala getting the race win in race 1, and Carlos Santana now making his way up into P3 in race 2.
Fantastic stuff for the KV86 powerhouse team, who will just want to now try and not have this as a pretty good round and keep it up as they go on through. Dan Hayek and Victor Cabello are both out of the race, as is Parker, Morris, Hutt and Belu. As apparently Brodie is really struggling with tyre wear, sliding through the entire braking zone over the last few laps. Thank you for the information, Aviation Chad in chats. Very nice name indeed. Now the question here is, as Turo Marler still tries to attack Jorn Dix, is Carlos Santana going to be able to chase them down? 0.3 of a second between our race leaders, and in fact the battle's still going on. Jorn Dix with just the better straight line speed at the moment. Florian Hasser is still battling with Massi Raboli. This is that battle for 17th position. Raboli again being frustrated here that he hasn't quite been able to do much with this weekend. Looks around the outside and now almost spins. Replay of what happened there then. Massi Raboli torrid time throughout the course of the day so far, and locks up the rears. I think there tyre wear clearly a struggle at this stage in proceedings.
So that's how he ended up behind Dominic Schlabon there. And yeah, those two are now battling on track, but not for positions that that Bowley especially would have wanted.
For certain. And as we carry on through this race, it's 17th position, Raboli guns for. Over to Romella. He's gunning for a top 5. That would be a pretty decent result. Winning a top 5, especially considering he started in 11th. That's a fair result for him. Here he goes, maybe down the inside. No, I'll think against it. Maybe to the outside now. Again, thinks against it. 8 tenths of a second between Tuamala and Santana. Santana's right the first time. Okay. Shouldn't second guess myself. Here goes Noah Tuamala then for the 5th position. We've got yellow flags flying in the final chicane onto the Wall of Champions. That better get cleared quickly. It does get cleared quickly. Noah Tuamala is through into 5th position as Raboli DNF. That would, I assume, be down.
Oh, there's a front wing.
Wall of Champions. There is a front wing, and that is a very dangerous piece of carbon fibre. Cut your head off if that hit you at that speed. Thankfully, these cars have got halos, and I mean the more pressing reasonably
you could still potentially get damage from stray debris like that if you hit it at full speed, so it's very much a hazard even in this game.
Yeah, I was going to say, as we see Brody Lawless, maybe it was his wing. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Whoa, Jesus.
Wow.
Okay. That was a big impact on the sausage curbs and then the wall.
And then the wall again. I was going to say the second biggest reason why you obviously don't have a concern with that is that there's a computer games. The cars aren't real even if they have a halo or not. His Rapoli then spins it around and goes into the wall, and we'll just call his torrid day to an end.
Looked very similar to his previous mistake in that exact same corner. It's exactly the same incident. 2
laps in a row, struggling with the tyre wear. Clearly, here we go. Michael Tuamala trying to get the lead of the race once more from Jorn Dix. Knows it's more of a pressing concern at the moment with Santana just behind. Can he go down into the final chicane? He can't. He has to brake relatively early and not be able to find a way through. Still going there, Michael Tuamala down into turn 1. His next opportunity. Jorn Dix defends very staunchly indeed. Can Tuamala get to the inside? He's almost being moved over, quite in the braking zone, and they make contacts.
Wow.
As well, Jorn Dix holds on to the position with 5 laps remaining in the race, but how controversial might that be? Here, Carlos Santana getting himself involved as well. This is not going to be over until it is absolutely over.
You can tell of the body language of Jorn Dix's car. There's absolutely no holds barred for this one. I think he's very much thinking himself that he can win this, and I think he's got the chances to, but it's going to be one heck of a fight for that one. We can see the pace of Michael Tuamala alone, but Carlos Santana, who I know in the practice has been very quick, so I think any of these top 3 could win it. Even Vakinov, who's got himself into this battle, could potentially take the race win here.
And as we go into 4 laps to go as they get to the line. Only a very short racetrack, this one, very fast racetrack as well with the 125 laps. Must be super fun in a Super League car here, which you can see next week on Thursday at the same time as this one, 7:30. And obviously we've got plenty of career ladder action throughout the next couple of weeks. Plenty of action here though in FS2 as Tuamala now goes to the lead of the race. Might look to make it 3 wide with Carlos Santana as well. Around the outside he goes. He's alongside into the braking zone. Goes the long way round though. We'll have the inside for turn 2 all over the grass. Makes contact. That allows Santana through into second position. Now Carlos Santana gets the gift of a potential GPVWC race win.
Oh, that was a very brave attempt there by Tuamala, but unfortunately didn't quite pay off, but also lucky to still keep it in the race and not take anyone out with him, since he did go across the grass there. So now we've just seen a swap between Santana and Tuamala. Will Carlos Santana now bring anything to the table? Will he be able to dispose of Jorn Dix's lead right now? We'll have to see as they approach the final straight once more.
As Santana is just a little bit further behind Jorn Dix than Tuamala was behind Jorn Dix on the previous lap, which might make this just difficult as they now go into 3 laps to go. Tuamala really needs to find himself a little bit of speed because he's under pressure from Bobby Vakinov for the podium. Here goes Santana then. Can he get through on Jorn Dix as they go down into the final corner with 3
Oh,
laps
that is
to go in the
more
race.
than
No
3 moves.
weaving. It's very, very aggressive, and now Santana goes down the inside for the lead of the race. It's KV86
Oh, no.
House looking for 2 in 2 and all the way to the
Wow.
World Champions. Jan Dix wants this win himself. They'll go 3 wide if they can. Tuamala looking to get involved. He's now trying to get second place back off Carlos, and he's
That
going
is
to do
absolutely insane.
exactly that. But is he going to keep out of the way of the leader? He will.
Oh,
but
no.
Santana floats, taps Tuamala round, and they both make contact. And they both
Oh my
almost
God.
go round. Then it's fantastic stuff. Still stuck to each other's sideboards. as
What
they
is
go to
happening?
tears.
No.
Back to
Oh,
ending
dear.
tears. They were stuck together for most of Sector 1. And now Jan Dix has got a race win in his hands. Tuamala to the podium.
Oh my god, what is happening? I do not even... First of all, there's going to be so much to be talked about post-race with Jan Dix's plenty of moves on the straight, which was definitely not one move to defend, which then caused the butterfly effect of Tuamala and Carlos Santana tangling with each other, and that just was... I mean, it was racing, but it was very dodgy racing.
Tuamala's not done just yet, though. He might want this podium back yet, and 1.9 seconds is the gap to the leader. He's going to get past Tuamala here, you would think, for a podium position. Bobby Vakanov is down the road as well. Let's see if he can get through. Has he got the straight line speed on that KV86 powerhouse car that has clearly got it set up absolutely perfectly? Oh, he goes straight on! Tuamala goes straight on. A rare mistake from your race 1 winner, who loses the podium, goes down into 4th, goes down into 5th, and might go down into 6th here as Panasenko, the pole sitter, looks to get past him. This race is cursed, frankly.
Wow, I don't know what to say. There is a lot that I would want to say, but I just can't even get the words right now. It is insane what's happening on screen right now. But yeah, Tuamala absolutely bottled a podium here, which is not great to see. But I mean, he's lucky enough to still have that car underneath him. He's still in P6, and there's 1 more lap to go for him to gun for an even higher position than he is in right now.
Here goes Panasenko looking for P5, P4, I should say, on Roy Seifert, who is actually taking some rare points out of Luke Mitchell, who will extend his championship lead after this event this evening. Here is Panasenko. Can he get past Roy Seifert down into the hairpin? No, he can't. There'll be 1 lap to go at the line. This should be the move for Panasenko, you would think. Tuamala maybe just out of it for the lead of the race. Jan Dix just 1 more lap to navigate. 4.3 kilometers of the circuit. Gilles Villeneuve, here they go down into the turn 12, 13 chicane for the penultimate time in the event. Is that Santana in the background looking for a move? It is, but he's not quite able to find it. Yeah, no, Panasenko off the road. The tyres look shot.
I think that's Tuamala who's now actually going to go past him. He's going to retake P5 now from Seva Panasenko. And that's a bit of a... I can't find the word, but a bit better for Noah Tuamala after the mistake that he did a couple of laps back. But yeah, Jan Dix in the lead, 1.5 seconds to the car behind, with Bobby Vakanov in P2 as well. It is looking very much like this could be the positions at the end of the race, as we still have half a lap to go.
Just half a lap to go. Jan Dix, 1.5 seconds. Surely he can't physically let that go in the time that we have remaining. He'll be making his way around the hairpin now, I guarantee, to try and see himself to the finish. It won't be his first race win of the season, I don't think. I think he finished very highly one of our previous rounds. But anyway, as I quickly check his record, he did get a race win of the season. I was correct, in Saudi Arabia, if I am not mistaken. And here he goes now. Just 1 more corner to go. He's in the top of your picture. Seifert's trying to wrestle a podium off of Michael Tuamala, but Tuamala has just done enough, I think. Here goes Jan Dix to make it his 2nd race win of the season. It's a Redven racing car back on top in FS2. He crosses the line, the number 14 car, to win in Canada. Michael Tuamala is going to finish in 3rd. Bobby Vakanov gets a very hard-earned podium as well. I can see Mashish Pishkan has gone up into 12th There's Jack Nicholls trying to find himself. It's a drag race to the line as Mitchell gets into ninth. Nicholls falls down past Pishkan. He goes around at the final chicane. He's going to lose points here, I think, or go into 14th. So he'll just about get away with it. He's still going to try and drag race to the line. He'll have less drag without a front wing, and he'll get to the line rather nicely in 13th position. And, well, need to take a breath, Jan. I hope we don't have too many interviews, because I might need a lie down.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you know, especially in this heat, thinking a post-race coma won't even be too far off the cards for me. It has been one heck of a day for these drivers, and it has been quite an incredible event to commentate this time around. Oh wow, and that's what happened to Jack Nicholls and the Waller champions on the final lap. That's not ideal, but he'll survive to at least take points for this event.
Yeah,
Luke Tolin to the chicane. Does he make a mistake here? Oh, he drifts it into the wall. Doesn't lose a front wing, or does he? I think he's lost his front wing there, yeah. Oh no, it is still attached. It's just so dark that you can't really tell. But here's again that incident between Carlos Santana and Miguel Duoma. Duoma really wanting to keep that middle of the road, but Santana also... Oh man, it's... You want to be leaving more space than that in a sim racing game, I'm afraid. It's, yeah. Quite a controversial one. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of talking about that incident. And also potentially a bit of the moving with Roy Zeifer, but at this point it's far less of a concern. Looking at all the other things that have happened in this race.
Results coming up then, and then interviews if you want to speed through these, yeah.
All right, here we go with Jörn Dix taking the race win in race 2 today. With Bobby Vakinov in P2 and Mikael Tuomala securing a podium for himself in P3. Roy Zeifer in P4, Noah Tuomala in P5, Seva Panasenko in P6, Scott Mitchell-Moll in P7, Carlos Santana in P8, Luke Mitchell in P9, Magnus Ockenhog in P10. In P11, Mateusz Piszczan in 12th, we've got Lucas Tolin in 13th, Jack Nicholls, Craig Patton in P14, Oliver Taras securing the last point in P15, Dominic Schlabon in P16, Luca Tizano in P17, David Junt in P18, Davide Zanini in P19, with Florian Haase in P20th as our first DNF. Rest count as DNFs with Justin van der Smissen, Massimiliano Riboli, Brody Lawless, Victor Cabello, Dan Hayek, Tom Parker, Scott Morris, Dan Hood, and Maxime Beaulieu. And,
well, this is more of a graveyard than a results page. Here we go then. We'll get some interviews in. First of all, I think it's only fair to bring Noah Turmello as a reminder of the calendar. British Grand Prix, 4th of July, but also plenty still to come from Canada over the next Thursday, then Tuesday, then Thursday again as we go through FS1, Super League Lights and Super League. Noah, you are a GPVWC career ladder race winner.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, that's cool.
How did you find it out there? I heard you were having some tips from the best.
Yeah, it was. I really don't know what to say right now. I'm kind of speechless. Let's put it that way.
Well, no, you're a Finn. You don't need to say too much.
True.
I'll throw over to Jan. Maybe you know how to get something out of your fellow countrymen.
Yes, maybe you'll feel a bit more at home with the accents and so. Noah, tell us, how was it the first race?
The first race was very good. We qualified P5. We could have been P3. Okay, we could have been P3 in qualifying, but kind of messed up the last qualifying run with the last turn. So we ended up P5. And we gambled with not really gambled, we tested it, a top speed, focused wings. and that ended up paying out very nicely. So we just kind of cruised past everyone and to the win. So that was really nice.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that actually throughout the stream about the setup differences, and I was more in the favor of high wings, just seeing how fast they could potentially be. But you've absolutely proved me wrong. You've gone down the wings, and it absolutely paid out in race 1. It was very nice to see. Well done in race 1. But how about race 2? What are your feelings about that? You were very close to securing a podium there.
Yeah, race 2 was mostly the same as race 1, just overtaking a lot of people with the top speed. I think the Mitchells might have toned down their wings a bit after seeing my top speeds, but basically same thing, overtaking people on the straights. Then some incidents happen ahead of me. I go into P3 or P2, I forgot. Then my pedals decide to come off my rig, and I dropped down to 6th. Then I just overtook Seva for P5.
Yeah, okay,
my lock came off weirdly, and they just went straight into the wall ahead of me. I kind of had to move my wheel forward. I mean, my whole seat forward so I can reach them.
Oh wow, yeah, definitely surviving there with a bit of a rig malfunction. But yeah, very well done. Onnittelut.
Kiitos.
Thank you, Noah, and speak to you soon.
Thank you, Tom.
Next up, we'll speak to Jorn Dix. Jorn, race 2 win. Must be good to be back on top.
Yeah, speedy tracks seem to suit me. Or reverse pole, I don't know. But yeah, very happy with this one. I feel like I was defending hard but fair in the end, so I'm also very comfortable this time again. Yeah, very happy.
and where to go from here? Because I don't think, if we're being honest, you've had the season that you'd quite have liked for a bit, but it's picking up now and into the second half of the season. You must be feeling positive.
Yeah, definitely. After the win in Jeddah, I had very bad races again because of bad driving, bad qualifying, impatient driving, and stuff. This time I'd really like to turn it around and just stay with a consistently good results in every race. Should be possible with a bit more practice and a bit more training, which I did today. So, yeah, just hoping for the best in the end.
And thank you, Jorn, and enjoy the win.
Thank you.
It was Jorn Dix, and finally, we're going to talk to Bobby Vakanov, although I might have just clicked on the channel, so that's going to be awkward. If I disconnect in a moment, you know why. But I know I got away with it. There we go. That was like holding on for dear life then. Bobby, welcome to the stream. Able to get a podium, and not just a podium, a P2. I mean, it's been a day of people getting results that I imagine they'll be absolutely delighted with. And another one here.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I totally didn't expect a podium when I was coming here. Like I had so weak quali. I was P21 or something like that. I never thought I would finish on the podium in race 2. But it worked out, I just kept it safe, no mistakes. And like when people around me were battling or making mistakes, I just made up positions, and I ended up P10 in the race 1. And then on the reverse grid, I got P2. So lucky for me, I didn't get much action. There wasn't that much of overtaking. Just looking around the action around me, and with some luck, I finished P2.
Yes, and on from here. I mean, you've ticked off a podium now, so I guess the next one is it's a race win. How do you think about the next track? Is there a chance?
Well, I don't know what the next track is, but a win will always be difficult. Wait, what? Wait,
Silverstone.
Well, I like it more than Canada, to be honest. But I will need a bit of luck for a win, or a lot more practice. I don't know. I hope I can get it, but I'm not counting on it this season at least. Never know.
And thank you very much for joining us, Bobby, and we'll speak to you soon.
Well done, Bobby.
Thank you.
Jan, closing thoughts.
Yeah, again, as a commentator, a lot of new stuff for me as well, with just the amount of chaos and with the track today. But I mean, I guess it was chaos in a good way. There was a lot of on-track action that we got to see, and it was very much a lot of close and fair racing mixed in with maybe some dramatic and controversial moments. But all in all, I think it was a good race.
Thank you for joining me, Jan. Thank you, Vincent Gutt, for being on the cameras, and thank you everyone for watching this fantastic event from Canada. Thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you all later. Good night.